Hello, hi, how are you? It's been a while. Also, I'm sorry for the lighting. It's currently 1 in the morning, so I'm literally using not natural lighting at all. So that's why it looks like this. But last time I spoke to you guys, I discussed that I got a new job and that I was kind of putting spicy streaming on the back burner. And I did do that. But I have since rage quit that job. And I want to start like making videos again. And that's like a whole other thing. But we're going to talk about this specific thing today and we'll get into everything else some other day. It's fine. Um, we're doing some house cleaning and we're going to be doing some house cleaning. But today I am going to spill the tea. So before we even begin, for legal purposes, I'm just going to say this. Everything I'm saying in this video is alleged. It's not necessarily about a real company or real people. Okay? Who even knows? Is this about a real company or real people? Did I have a mental break and this job only existed in my mind? Perhaps. So with that being said, I'm going to spill the tea. Now, I didn't really want to talk about this, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. You know what I mean? So I've been spicy streaming on and off for years, like 10 years, okay? I went full time in 2019 after a really horrible breakup, and I've been full time ever since. Spicy streaming has brought me a lot of good things in my life. However, over the summer, I was very, very burnt out from dealing with dudes with boner brains. And I also wasn't really working on my book, which was the whole fucking point for me spicy streaming. Well, one of the points. So I wanted to get a regular civilian job and do that. But I wanted it to be something that I wanted to do. My dad got swept up in the opioid epidemic, and he later died in a sober living home. They say that he did not overdose, but I don't believe that. So, because, carry the one. So, I saw that this one company, which is we'll just say it's a detox rehab place. Okay, this alleged company, and they were looking for a behavioral tech, and I really wanted to work there. They were kind of like a bougie one, so I was like, oh hell yeah, I want to work there. And I got interviewed, and then it took forever for me to get hired because some weird shit was happening with the company. And by the time I was hired, this is like spoilers, but by the time I was hired a couple months into me being hired, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So that was the situation I was entering in. So it was really great. But eventually I was hired as a behavioral tech, and basically in like rehab or detox places, obviously those people who are in there, the patients, they're there from anywhere from 5 to 30 days, right? So they're in rehabs and detox places. There has to be people there at all times. There has to be bodies in the building. So with the behavioral techs, those are the people who are there for 12 hours a day and work various shifts, right? It could be 7 to 7, 12 to 12, or 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Those are the shifts. So they're very long shifts, but you only work like 3 days a week. So I was like, great. And they don't really do like a ton. So behavioral techs do vitals multiple times a day for each patient. And they do rounds and they do admissions and discharges. And that is what the behavioral techs. So I started and I took to it pretty much right away. It wasn't rocket science. So and I found that I really loved it. I really loved it. I really connected with the patients. The patients seemed to like seek me out, when they were, having problems and things like that. And it was really, really great. And one day I had a patient who was very volatile, but I don't know, he like kind of took to me and he like kind of listened to me. I don't know, I didn't really think anything of it. And then a bunch of the staff was like, oh, are you thinking about being a counselor? And I had thought about getting my CSAC, and CSAC is the license that you need to be a substance abuse counselor. And I had thought about it, but if you're paying in a pocket, it's anywhere from 10 grand to $20,000. So I was like, I don't really want to pay for that. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I don't want to pay for it. So that's pretty much what I said. I said, I think I would like it and I'd be good at it, but I don't want to pay for it. There was another incident with another patient who was going to AMA, and basically they were going to AMA to do drugs. is what it was. And I was like, listen, you're going to do what you're going to do. You've clearly made up your mind. However, if you want to readmit, because they were there on a scholarship, if you want to readmit, if you do it before my shift ends, I'll readmit you. Like, I will make it happen. Lo and behold, he came in 5 minutes before my shift ended. And he did the drug that begins with F in the parking lot. Like, he snorted it as we were walking into the door. And I was like, okay, so you're gonna overdose? That's what's gonna happen. And the nurses were like doing their thing, and he started to nod off, lips turned blue. We Narcaned him 6 times. EMS came. He didn't want to go, and I was like, you have to go. Like, you get, basically, if you get Narcan, you have to go to the hospital, because, like, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but, like, basically, Narcan stops, like, it closes the door to it's an antagonist for opiates, right? So it closes the door, but the opiates, especially with the drug that begins with F, they are stronger and faster than the Narcan. So the Narcan will eventually open the door again, and then the opiates will like go through the now gaping hole that the Narcan left. So you will overdose again if you don't go to the hospital. And so that's like, but he like did not want to go to the hospital. I don't know. He didn't want to go. But I did eventually convince him to go, and then he finally came back to us. And I was like, okay, maybe I should be a counselor. And by this point, I had already talked to my supervisor, and she said that there was a scholarship, so I didn't have to pay for it. And I was like, okay, give me the links, you know? And it was like that situation that I was like, okay, maybe I could do this. You know what I mean? If like, because like obviously I want to write, but there's no guarantee with that. So I was like trying to be realistic, and I was like, okay, so I'll do this, you know. I'm pretty good at it, and I like it. Like, I was not like scared at any point working in this facility. I thought I was good at it. I did really connect with the patients, etc., etc. So I applied for the scholarship, got it. Then I applied for the college that I wanted to go to get this license. And I was just like waiting to hear back to see what is the next available like cohort that I could take. So I was still doing the behavioral tech thing, but unfortunately my clinical supervisor, as well as a bunch of other people, quit. Well, they put in their 2 weeks and they left. So we were super understaffed. Super understaffed. No one was running groups. I started running groups. I would come in on my days off to run groups. And TLDR, the counselors that we did have advocated for me to be a counselor, even though I don't have my license. Like, I just needed someone with a license to sign off on my documents, right? But I was hired as an admissions counselor, but I was doing all of the substance abuse counseling stuff. So it didn't really matter that I was an admissions counselor. I was still doing everything that a full licensed counselor would do. So I was running groups. I was doing literally all the documenting. I was doing people's intakes. I was doing it all, okay? Now, this is where I'm about to spill the tea. That's like the groundwork of like what happened. And by the way, all of that happened within like a 4-month span. And also, by the time I was a counselor, there was me and 2 others. That's it. And one of those 2 others was quitting. So really, there was me and another counselor, and that's it. We did eventually get another clinical supervisor, but she took no patients. She doesn't count, just me and her. That's it, doing literally all of the substance abuse counseling work. All of it, but we'll put that on the back burner, okay? So, I am still really liking my job, okay? We're just gonna watch Beef and Hemi take a shit, okay? Mm-hmm. They have to be in here, so I'm so sorry. They're in isolation right now, so that's why they're in here. While all this is happening, pretty much when I started getting settled into my job, buddy, he's such a good boy. Hi, Beef. So many things are happening right now. Okay. So when I got settled in to this job as a behavioral tech, this is when some tea started. Oh my God, they're just shitting their brains out right now. So when I started, settling into when I was behavioral tech, there was this, allegedly, because now we're spilling tea. So allegedly, there was a coworker of mine who started to hit on me. And I have trauma, okay? So I just kind of laughed it off. I was like, okay, Also, this person allegedly is married. So, I don't know. And also, like, not for nothing, I am pretty cute. So I was like, well, fair enough. But, like, I also have a boyfriend, and, like, this person knew that I had a boyfriend. So I don't know. Some people are just fucking weird. So I was just kind of ignoring it, okay? I'm also 33 years old. So I was ignoring it. Let's just do my job. You know what I mean? So that started happening when I was a behavioral tech. When I transitioned into being a counselor, one of the younger behavioral techs, like young enough where like her frontal lobe hasn't dropped yet, came up to me. But she came up to me and she goes, do you think it's weird that, let me give him an ugly name. Hold on. Ugly male names. Okay, there was a late NASCAR driver called Dick Trinkle. We're going to call him Dick Trinkle. Okay, so Dick Trinkle, this girl, okay, let me backtrack. She came to my office. She told me that Dick Trinkle was hitting on her. She goes, do you think this is weird? And I was like, that's so weird because Dick is also hitting on me. And then, like, the things that she was saying that Dick was saying were the same things that Dick Trinkle was saying to me. And we were handling it the same way. Which was ignoring it and just kind of moving on, But also, I do want to say that Dick Trinkle also would call me sexy in front of one of the other counselors. So, like, there was a witness to, like, him being inappropriate. And I was like, okay. A week or so goes by. Me and this young girl are with the other counselor who has witnessed Dick Trinkle call me sexy and things like that. We mentioned what has been transpiring. She says, you have to report this. And I was like, are you sure? We didn't have a clinical supervisor at the time, so somebody was filling in. And the person who was filling in, I had beef with. She was very mean to me. But that didn't even matter. I mean, it did at the time, but, like, in the grand scheme of things, that didn't even matter. Like, she was there for a week, but she was fucking awful to me. Respectfully. And I tried so hard to be nice to her, but she was horrid to me. Horrid. But, so, mind you, I have to now report this. Because, like, my coworker was right. That's inappropriate. It could be a patient one day. So, I was like, okay, I will do it because he's also doing it to, like, a 24-year-old. So, like, okay. So, it's not just, like, in my head. So, my coworker tells the temporary but also evil clinical supervisor that was filling in what has been going on. She pulls me aside. She's like, I have to get a statement from you. And I'm like, okay. I tell her what had been happening, him hitting on me, calling me sexy, da-da-da. And I was like, I don't really want to report this, but in your humble opinion and your supervisor opinion, what do you think this is? And she said that is sexual harassment. And I cried because I have trauma. But so I wrote a fucking thing, okay? I wrote a thing. And actually, I'll pull it up. Okay, so this is the email that I wrote. Dick Trinkle has been generally friendly towards me. However, his behavior has become inappropriate and uncomfortable. He's been making personal comments telling me how beautiful he thought I was. At first I laughed it off as he is married, but the comments continued. He has stated that he would like to take me out dancing or to dinner. I attempted to ignore or deflect these remarks by laughing them off or changing the subject. Dick Trinkle has also continued to wink at me as has called me sexy in passing, including in front of other staff members. Additionally, after seeing a photo of my partner on my phone lock screen, he referred to him as a bastard and a lucky guy. And I put this up. Ongoing behavior has made me uncomfortable in the workplace. And that's really all that happened with that. After that, nothing else really happened other than Dick Trinkle, like, completely ignored me. And I was like, honestly, this is ideal. Now he'll leave me alone. Like, you know what I mean? I did not care. I was, like, willing to just, like, forget about it at that point. I was like, great. Amazing. But then the young coworker took me aside once again, and I don't really know what happened, so I'm not really going to super get into it, but, like, what she described was so disgusting. Like, I'll basically just say kind of what happened, but because I wasn't in the room, I won't say what she said was said. But basically, the temporary supervisor, plus another supervisor that was like recently hired, and Dick Trinkle, like the temporary supervisor, brought all of them in a room and told, like, I guess I'll just say this. She told the young girl who just submitted like a statement of harassment against Dick Trinkle. She was like allegedly telling her she needs to only talk to Dick Trinkle about work things. And I was like, okay, so they took the victim and the sexual harasser in the same room and blamed it on you. That's like what was pretty much what was said. But like the fact that they even brought them all in the room together, what? So what? That's not okay. So I was like, to be honest, if it were me, I would have just fucking quit, like right then and there. And at this point, I was like, don't quit. And like I said, we had like a temporary supervisor who just fucking hated me. But like the sexual harassment thing had kind of stopped. So I was like, well, I guess I could just deal with this evil lady being here for the rest of the week. And that is what I did. And the following week, our new permanent clinical supervisor started. So the evil one was there for half of that day. Of course, she was a bitch to me the whole day. That doesn't even, I literally, honestly, it's going to get way worse. So I don't even care about that, okay? So the week goes on. New clinical supervisor starts. She's very nice. But at this point, she's not taking patients. She's telling the other counselor, and mind you, there is me and another counselor, and that is it. That means we are splitting the week. That means we cannot call out because the clinical supervisor told us that she will not be taking patients. Even if we needed help, which we did, she had said, I will not be taking patients. And we were not like crazily, like there wasn't like a ton of patients, but doing all of that documenting as well as running groups, it was too much. Especially like in an ideal situations, the admissions counselors, which is what I was, would be like doing the COBs, doing the intakes, running groups, doing the group documenting, things like that. And then the counselors would be meeting with the patients every day, also running some groups. Like it would be like more evenly distributed. But this was like, we were doing literally everything. Like one person was doing literally all the clinical stuff. I don't even know what she was doing. She said she was auditing charge, but I don't even know if that was true. Because anytime I walked into her office, she was on her phone. Yep. So I was already about to lose. And there was just no fucking time to even breathe. And it was like, I was getting very annoyed, as it is. And I had already cried multiple fucking times. So I was like, why can't I sip this? What the hell? But yeah, so she wouldn't take patients. We were doing everything. And it got to the point where I looked her dead in the face and I was like, listen, I'm not going to do COBs is insurance verification. But it's like, I'm not going to do that if I'm doing literally everything. So I literally told her that. I was like, listen, I'm not doing the COB verification. You're going to have to find someone else to do it because I'm doing literally everything. I'm doing everything. There were multiple days I was there for like fucking 15 hours. No, I don't get paid enough to be here for that long. Anyways, so now I'm going to paint you a picture of how I dressed for work, okay? I am a cozy bitch, all right? I would wear long skirts, long cotton skirts went down to the motherfucking floor. I would wear cotton dresses with like stockings, completely opaque. I'd wear that with little flats, Crocs, whatever. Wore cardigans that I wore went down to my fucking ankles. I don't really want to be perceived, especially at work. I just want to be like comfortable and look cute, but I'm not trying to wear anything tight fitting, you know what I mean? I just want to vibe. And I like the stockings that I wore were basically leggings, okay? They were just like they were basically leggings with some flair. You know what I mean? But they were stockings. I don't know. It had never been a problem. Okay? So one day, and by the way, also, it is hot as balls in that building. And like my office was hot, okay? It was like a fucking fish tank. I don't know. It was hot in there. It was like a greenhouse. There was like one window and that like heated up the whole room. It was horrible. I would have like my little fan on. It was the hottest fuck in that room, okay? So I don't know if there was like, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. So I would try to like compensate my outfits, but like still be very modest. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you what I was wearing, okay? It doesn't even matter. I'm telling you what I was wearing, okay? So this day I come in. This is the same fucking outfit that I wore on my interview, okay? So that's how I fucking know, okay? So I don't even know how to explain this, but I have a very flowy top that is basically like a dress, but it is shapeless. It's like, you know those like flowy tops that are like one size fits all because they're huge? It's like that, okay? And it's like the ends of it go like this all around it, but like most of it hit below my knee, like where my knee ends. So it's basically like a flowy dress, but it's still like a blouse, but it's basically a dress. You get me? Okay. And it is very flowy, shapeless. You would not be able to tell that I have a fat ass while I was wearing it because it is so shapeless. But I like to sit crisscross applesauce. I also like to be very comfortable. I don't want my ass cheeks flapping in the wind. So I wore biker shorts underneath. I like to wear longer biker shorts. My biker shorts cut off 2 inches above my knee. I was also wearing long socks. So I'm going to show you how much of I was also wearing a cardigan that went to my ankles. So what you saw while I was wearing this outfit, this is all relevant, was from here to here, just this, that's it, that is it. My knee and calf, okay? I don't really think anything of it because that is exactly what I wore to my interview. And I know it's business casual, and that was our dress code, business casual. So, we did our, actually no. So what ended up happening was that is what I wore. Everyone complimented my outfit because I looked cute as fuck, okay? I got my breakfast, got my coffee, go into my office. And Dick Finkelman, the guy who sexually harassed me, walks into my clinical supervisor's office. I hear the door closed. I'm like, okay. Didn't think anything of it. As I said, we have not communicated since I reported him. By the way, he should have not have known that I reported him, but he clearly knew. But to me, it didn't even fucking matter. Like, you know what I mean? To me, I was like, he's not talking to me at all anymore. Great. We could have been bros, but, it's fine. Anyway, he goes into her office. Walks out of her office a couple minutes later. The clinical meeting is about to start. I go into her office. We do the clinical meeting with the upper management on Teams. The meeting ends. Before I leave her office, she starts telling me how my outfit is inappropriate. Now at this point, this bitch is not taking patients. 2 weeks ago, I was dealing with a clinical supervisor who was the temporary clinical supervisor who was a fucking bitch to me for like a week and a half. Now we have this clinical supervisor who's supposed to be the permanent one. She knows there's only me and another counselor who I was there 4 days a week. She was there 3. And the clinical supervisor was not taking patients. So I was doing 3 groups a day, the documenting to those groups. I was doing the intakes. I was seeing every single patient in the building every single day and doing the documenting on that. As well as that, I was setting up the patients with their next level of care. I was doing the COBs and the family outreach, which also, all of that, everything you do, you have to document. So everything I'm naming, you have to document. And like, by the way, also, discharge documents, had to do those. Oh my God, what is the other thing? Treatment plans, have to do those. Have to do the treatment plan reviews. So I was doing all of that all day. Most days, I didn't get up from my office from the moment I came in. And then by the time my shift ended, I was still not done documenting. And that is because that fucking bitch would not take patients. Okay? So when I leave the office after the clinical meeting, she just starts telling me that my outfit is inappropriate. I look her dead in the face and I'm like, my knees are inappropriate? My knees? Mind you, the day before, she was wearing sweatpants, okay? And I was like, okay. I didn't mention that because I was just like, all I said was, my knees are inappropriate? My knees. Because that's all you could see is my knees. But I went on, I just did my thing the rest of the day, Okay, that's it. I just did my thing. I did not care at that point. I was like, fuck you. My knees telling me this. You wore sweatpants yesterday. I didn't realize sweatpants were business casual. Like, hello? Why don't you take a fucking patient? So that's where I was at, okay? So the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna comply with this, okay? So I wore a dress that cut off above my knees, okay? So with that dress, I wore opaque stockings. On top of those opaque stockings, I wore biker shorts, just in case, you know? Because the dress was above my knees, so I was like, okay. Extra modesty, and then I wore a cardigan. Now, over the weekend, and at various points since I've worked there, people have worn leggings. So I was like, okay, well, these stockings are basically leggings. So. And I'm wearing a dress. You know what I mean? I was like, this is business casual. Like, get fucked, brother. So anyways, next day I go in, right? Get my coffee, go in my office, start my business. Dick Fickelman walks past my office. Goes into the clinical supervisor's office. They shut the door. I don't really think anything of it. He leaves the clinical supervisor's office. The clinical meeting starts. I go in there, do the meeting. And then that fucking bitch had something to say about my outfit. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I thought my knees were the problem. But now it's not my knees. Like, what do you want me to, like, hello? And it's like everything I wore, like, was shapeless. So, like, the dress that I was wearing that day, shapeless. I even wore a cardigan on top of it. So at this point, I have an inkling that it's fucking Dick Finkelman. So I just do my thing. And then I see outside that the nursing supervisor is with a patient, like an admission. So I was like, so I go outside. I need a break. I'm asking the patient what's up. She doesn't want us near her. So we're like, okay. We walk away. Nursing supervisor looks at me, allegedly. This is all alleged. So she goes, what's up with everyone having a problem with your outfits? I say, I don't fucking know. She's like, you know, I didn't even think anything about your outfits. And I was like, yeah, because they're pretty fucking shapeless, right? They're shapeless. And she's like, yeah, we're going to have to put you in a burlap sack or something. And then she goes, you know, I like you, Melinda. I don't get why everyone, well, she literally said this. Well, not everyone, just one person is on the Melinda hate train. And I look at her and I go, is it Dick Finkelman? And she goes, you know, the reason why I'm telling you this, because obviously she's like a supervisor, one of the supervisors in the building. So she knows that I reported him for harassment, right? And I also told her, so. But like either way, she would have known. But she was like, you know, given, you know, the complaint you filed, this feels like retaliation. And I was like, so the new clinical supervisor wasn't there for that. So I was like, okay, so clearly he's reporting me to her and she's going along with it, even though my outfits are not inappropriate, because she's unaware of the sexual harassment thing. Obviously, you know, carry the one. So I pull her aside and I tell her what happened, okay? Exactly what happened. She tells me that's not what's happening. And I was like, you know, I get that you're the clinical supervisor, so you're obviously not going to confirm or deny you had a private conversation with somebody in the building. But I'm telling you right now that I know it was him. And I'm telling you that it is retaliation, and here's why, right? And she starts to have an argument with me, saying that it is not retaliation because it was never sexual harassment. Because when he was harassing me, I never said no. I just ignored it and moved along. And I was like, what? No. you know? It's like, what the fuck? Now, I was like pretty sure that like legally she was wrong. But like at that moment, I didn't like have like my sources cited. So I was just going like with morally why I thought she was wrong. So we argued about that for like 30 fucking minutes. And I started crying, obviously. And then I went to the nursing supervisor. I told her what happened. And she was like, wow, that is fucked up. And I was like, yeah. And then she told me that Dick Finkelman was not only doing all of that, but also telling everyone in the building that I have an OnlyFans. And I was like, Now, at this point, I had deleted all of my spicy links off of my website. So that to me meant that he was like looking for something. I mean, and yeah, I guess he, whatever, he found it. It's not like it's a secret, you know what I mean? But, and the nursing supervisor was like, she like clocked it and she was like, yeah, that kind of seems like, how do you know that? Unless you were looking for it. It's not like she's giving out her OnlyFans to our patients, and it's not even under my name. So like, it like didn't matter. You know what I mean? And she's like pro sex work. So she was like, yeah, stop looking for things. You know what I mean? Like, leave her alone. So like in that moment I was like, okay, this is fucking retaliation. And I was fucking furious because it felt like, like the person who is supposed to be standing up for her clinical staff was not only not doing that, but she was also being incredibly misogynistic and sexist. And she was just wrong. Like, she was just wrong. Because when I left work that day, I did end up looking it up, like the legality of it. And you do not need to say no for it to be sexual harassment. Because, and like, this is federally. The law is this federally. But like, people who made that law know that when someone is being sexually harassed, they're not comfortable enough to say no. Victims aren't usually comfortable enough to say no. So that's why it's still sexual harassment, even if you don't. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Also, what I kept saying to her and anyone else who I spoke to about this was that I should not be put in a position in the workplace where I have to say that a fellow staff member is making me uncomfortable and that they need to stop. I just shouldn't be put in that position at all. At all. So it just so happened that after that, I had 3 days off. So I got to like kind of thinking about it. And I had decided that I was done. And it's like things like this was exactly why I got into spicy streaming. Because it is safe. I don't have to deal with people. I don't have to worry about someone sexually harassing me or assaulting me in the workplace. Like, this is exactly why I got into spicy streaming. Like, literally exactly why. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to put in my resignation, like, effective immediately. And I told the lead tech, who was previously my supervisor, and I told him what happened, and I was just like, this is what it is. I'm fucking done, brother. And I wrote the most scathing fucking email to HR that, like, it's pretty long. I'll kind of get into it a little bit. I am pretty fucking proud of this email, I'm not even gonna lie, but this is pretty much what it says. I'm writing to formally resign from my position as counselor at blah blah blah, effective immediately. Over the past several weeks, I experienced ongoing sexual harassment and retaliatory behavior from a staff member, Dick Tinkleman, I don't even know what I named him now, which was previously reported by the clinical supervisor that was a bitch to me, who was temporary, on September 27th, 2025 in an email stating, and then I wrote what the email said. Then I said, this ongoing behavior has made me okay, that's the end of the email. Okay, sorry. Despite multiple complaints being made about his conduct, no corrective action has been taken. Following my report, I've been repeatedly targeted and disciplined over trivial or fabricated issues, as confirmed by another employee who stated that Dick Tinkleman continues to report me to management. This has created an unsafe and hostile work environment. For example, on October 4th, 2025, I was wearing a long, shapeless dress that fell approximately 2 inches above my knee with fabric biker shorts underneath for extra covers, long socks, and full-length cardigan reaching my knees. This outfit was still reported by Dick Tinkleman. This is like where I started to cite my fucking sources. As per employee handbook, acceptable business attire includes, then I quoted the employee handbook, which said, long or short sleeve blouses, sweaters, skirts, dresses must be appropriate length. Upon hire, I was told that the dress code was business casual, and notably, this was the exact outfit I wore on my interview without issue. This clearly indicates retaliation. Although my attire was appropriate by any standard, Dick Tinkleman continued to report me. And then I quoted it's the Emory University's Professional Dress for Success Guide. It's like a paper. Skirts no shorter than 2 inches above the knee. That skirt should still cover your thighs when sitting. So that's Emory University's career services. That's what they say consists of appropriate dress level. Although I've worn this outfit multiple times without issue, I complied when it was suddenly deemed inappropriate, as it appeared the visibility of my knees was the issue. The following day, I made every effort to adhere to professional attire standards, wearing a flowy, shapeless dress with baggy but tasteful cardigan, biker shorts for modesty, and an opaque, non-see-through stockings. Despite this, I was later informed that Dick Tinkleman reported this outfit as well, even though it was significantly more conservative. After confirming that it was he who was the one repeatedly reporting my attire, it became evident that this behavior was retaliatory in nature, directly following his repeated inappropriate comments and advances towards me. When I brought this attention to my clinical supervisor, I was told that it did not count as retaliation or harassment because I didn't say no. This statement is factually and legally incorrect. Under both New York state and federal law, sexual harassment is defined as, then I quoted, unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature that explicitly or implicitly affects individuals, employee, unresponsible, blah, blah, blah. So it's just defining it, and that was U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission defined that. That's where I got that source. Furthermore, according to University of Oxford's harassment policy, then I quoted that of like what defines sexual harassment. And then I put, as noted by equal rights advocates, it still counts as harassment even if in the moment you don't immediately say stop or something else to let the person know that what they're saying or doing is inappropriate. That's Equal Rights Advocate Workplace Harassment Guide at equalrights.org. So I was quoting, okay? I was citing my motherfucking sources. And then I said, this statement clearly indicates that my experience qualifies as sexual harassment and subsequent retaliation, regardless of whether or not I verbally said no at the time. The behavior was unwanted, persistent, and directly affected my ability to feel safe and respected in the workplace. And then I put, I cannot in good conscience continue to work in this environment where my safety, boundaries, professional dignity are disregarded. I'm choosing to prioritize my well-being and mental health by resigning effective immediately today. While I understand the facility is currently short-staffed, I cannot continue working under the conditions that have become personally unsafe and professionally invalidating. I truly wish the best for my colleagues and patients who deserve supportive, respectful environment. So that was my resignation letter. I was not fucking around. I did not like that. And I also don't like it when someone fucking lies to my face, okay? She literally just like, I don't know if she was like lying, but she like made some shit up. Like, she was like, that doesn't count as sexual. Yes, it fucking does. Yes, it does. Anyways, so I sent that. And then I was later informed that I am not the first. So from what I know, it is me, the 24-year-old. A previous nurse also reported him. And this is like kind of the nail in the coffin. This is the last thing that happened after I quit. But someone else contacted me who she works in another state, but I was like working with her adjacently. She called me and we spoke on the phone. I told her everything I told you here today. And she confirmed that she had also reported Dick Tinkleman. So I was like, okay. Because like when she visited the facility, he hit on her as well. So I was like, okay. Why does he work there? Like, I like think he's like, I don't know if Dick Tinkleman is dicking someone down, but like I don't know why he works there. Let me just put it this way. I was more valuable, like my position, than his position. Okay. Like they do not need to keep him. I don't know why they were keeping him. So many people reported him. Anyway, HR called me, which I was surprised they did. But basically they were trying to say that I was mad that Dick Tinkleman did not get repercussions. Like he wasn't fired. And I was like, did you read my email? Because that's not what I said. And then I like basically repeated everything I said in my email. And I literally was like, he kept reporting me only after, well, one, I literally said, one, he should have never known that it was me. Why did he know then? That's not appropriate, right? And then only after I reported him did he start reporting me for like super fucking trivial things. And I was like, what does that sound like to you? Is that not retaliation? And then the HR was like, yeah, that sounds like retaliation. I was like, exactly. Anyway, so like pretty much right after that, I started spicy streaming again. And I don't think I'll ever fucking work. I don't know. Like, I don't think I'm gonna ever work for anybody ever again. To be honest, I feel traumatized, okay? It's like, Jesus, I know. And you know what bothers me? And I even said this to one of my coworkers. I don't really know why Dick Tinkleman was so fucking fixated on me. I mean, yeah, I reported him, but you shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have done that. Why were you doing that? He's married and he has like kids and shit. Like, he has a daughter. Like, what are you doing, buddy? And like, also, what fucks me up is like, you don't need to be doing that to me, right? Like, I promise you, I cannot, I said this to one of my coworkers. I was like, I cannot give him anything other, like, that his wife can't give him. You know what I mean? Like, just like close your eyes. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, when you're grabbing her titties, just close your eyes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but I don't really think it really had anything to do with me. I think, yeah, he was probably pissed that I'd like reported him, but like, I don't know. I think he just like hits on people. Like, that's what I think. I think he just hits on people. And like, I don't know. Oh my gosh, look at me, little kitty. What are you doing? Good yawn. Oh. Hi, Hammy. Anyway, it's now 2 a.m. I just kind of wanted to discuss what ended up transpiring at the job that I was very excited about. And, you know, I still am kind of sad about it. Because I really did like doing it. I really did. And I felt like I was really good at it. But I don't know, existence do be pain. And it's really difficult being a woman. Which is fucking crazy. Like, I just like, I just don't fucking understand. Like, I don't understand, you know? And that's like generally how I feel about that whole fucking situation. I just feel like, just close your eyes, you know what I mean? Also, I feel like, even if he like was single, let's say, I just feel like that is not how you reel women in. Harassing them at the workplace, you know what I mean? Just like be yourself, you know? And I'm not saying even that like workplace romances can happen. I'm just saying that when it's clear it's not reciprocated, do not bury your head in the sand and continue digging the fucking hole. I don't know, dude. Moral of the story is I'm spicy streaming again, but I don't know. I've been really trying to finish my book. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I am, like, it is written. I'm just editing it now. I'm up to chapter 61. That is where I'm at. Yeah. And I have, so like only like 20 more chapters to go. Yeah, 20 more chapters to go. And then I could put it into the world. But yeah, so that's kind of what happened with my job that I was super excited about. And it's still super unfortunate. And I just wanted to give an update about that. I do have some more housekeeping that I kind of wanted to do. I don't really know what I want to do with this channel, to be honest. I am still going to keep it Raise Mary Hell. And I was thinking about maybe, like, I don't know. I'm just gonna, how about this? I'm gonna do what I want. How's that? I don't, like, I feel like I can't stick to, like, it being like something specific, like reading spooky, scary stories or something like that. I feel like I just like, if I want to read a spooky, scary story, I will. If I want to review a book, I will do that. If I want to vlog, I will do that. I just like, I don't like, I feel like I have trouble just like doing one thing when it comes to like this, because I do feel like, I feel like making videos is something that I like to do for fun. But yeah, I think for now, I am just gonna do what I want to do. But this was a very depressing video, which is why I wanted to get it out of the way. But I don't know, I did want to just spill the tea about it, so that way I never have to talk about it ever again. I just got it off my chest. This alleged story that, you know, is it true? Did I have a mental break? Was this whole situation in my head? Who knows? Find out in the next episode on Dragon Ball Z, I guess. But yeah, no, I did not. I don't know. I just felt called to make a story time about it and spill some tea. The alleged tea. And then that's it. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what happened. Oh my god, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pet my cats and then I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm so tired.